Around comes from a version of Buddy Guy playing First Time I Met the Blues, and I think it was from the movie Chicago Blues, like in 1970. He's just playing with a trio, and playing great, singing great, as always. And I filled in the gaps, again, as with all of these. I'm starting from the 5 chord down, so that would be bar 9 in a standard 12-bar blues progression. But when you're looking at the sheet music, it'll look like measure 1. But I'm just saying we're starting bar 9, and then the turnaround's going to happen really in what would be bars 11 and 12 of the 12-bar cycle, so that'd be in bars 3 and 4 of your sheet music. And then I'm going to go back into kind of a rhythmic phrase, fill in the gaps. Actually, I play more like a typical lead guitar Buddy Guy lick right afterwards, but I play a little bit for 4 bars and lead you back then to the 5 chord again, and that's your chance to play the lick and to play the turnaround. So it's just guitar, bass, drums, this trio, and it starts out on the B7 chord. It is in the key of E for us, certainly right now. Buddy was playing an E flat, but I wonder, he may have just been tuned down a half step. I'd have to study the recording a little more carefully to see if he was really playing an E flat or just playing an E and tuned down. In any event, we're going to start at the 7th fret and outlining a B7 chord, and the guitar phrase is just, it's a lot of palm muting. And then you're opening up the sound by releasing the palm muting for certain notes. So starting at the 7th fret on the 6th string, and I'm muting that, and it's and it's on the 9th fret of the 3rd string is where I release the palm mute and open up the sound a bit. So I've got the out of phase thing on the Strat going, the neck and middle pickups going. It's 7th fret, hit the 7th, hit that note again, and then you're going to go to the 7th fret on the 4th string, and then you're going to go to the 9th fret, to the 7th fret on the 3rd string. So it's a triplet-based thing. It's like triplet. So the first time it's like you're hitting the first and last note of a triplet, if you're counting this in 4. It is written down in 12/8, but not to belabor that point. You know, as you know, we can think about this as 12/8 or as a slow 4. Triplet, triplet, and then comes the 9th fret on the 3rd string, which is where really my palm mute opens up. I had it open there on the last thing I just played, but really I'm muting all the way up there on the track, and then opening the sound, putting a little vibrato on that, and then pulling off to the 7th fret again, and then back to the 7th. I'm sorry, back to the 9th fret of the 4th string, 7th fret, 10th fret of the 5th string, back to the 7th fret. That's the whole first measure of music in your sheet music. So it just feels like driving triplets. And the first beat and the 3rd beat, counting in slow 4, the triplet is a little bit broken, but there is that perpetual kind of triplet feel to the whole track and the whole groove. So I'm going out of the vibrato back into more palm muting. And that outlines the B7 chord. And then to the A7. So I'm just doing single notes. I'm going open A string, open A string again, and then I'm going to go up here to the 10th fret on the 6th string, to the 12th fret, to the 10th fret, and then slide into the 14th fret. Go to the 12th fret now on the 4th string, back to the 14th on the 5th string, 12th, down to the 6th string at the 15th fret, back to the 12th fret. So that's the whole lead in. And you look at that shape, both shapes, really, that might look a lot like some scale shapes that we talk about, like in the lesson on the blues scale. And it's just outlining the notes that sound good with those chords at that point in the blues. And so it's a blues in E. You know, if you were like making stuff up, like E minor pentatonic here, It's going to have all the good notes. E blues. It's going to have all the good notes. So that's just something to, relate. Everything is connected, is what I'm meaning to say here. So it's like you learn a lick, relate it back to another concept that you previously learned, and connect the dots, and it's all part of becoming an intuitive musician. So we've outlined the B7 and the A7 chord, and then we get into the main event, the main turnaround. So now this is measure 3 in your sheet music. Remember, this would be like bar 11 of a 12-bar cycle. And I'm just sticking to E minor pentatonic mostly. There's a blue note thrown in when Buddy bends up. So it's really like E blues, but it's like 14th fret, 4th string, 12th fret, high E string. And then I hit the 12th again and follow it up with the 14th fret on the 3rd, bending it up a half step and releasing it. So, and then back to the 12th fret on the 3rd string, back to the 14th fret on the 4th string. So it's, and then it's a little bit detached. It's not right on the beat, but it's like you wait on, and this is measure 4 in your sheet music, measure 12 of a 12-bar cycle. It's like this 14th fret rings over across the bar line. So best advice I would have is, practice with the track, because the drums are totally in time. Practice with the metronome, that's another good thing to do. Internalize time, listen to players with good time. Having said all that, if you try to count this in your mind and think, okay, here I am, 1, 2, 3, 4, or think in terms of 12/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's something I would never do. It's something I would have either drums or a click going, and make sure that the major beats I'm landing on, and that anything that's subdivided and in between those beats, that I'm arriving at home at the right time, and that everything feels good and is in the pocket. But I'm not going to sit there and try to actually count this out. You're feeling that. And you're feeling that, and also trying to match the spirit of it. So that note is sustained across the bar line, and then you go to the 14th fret on the 3rd string and bend it up a full step. And I'm putting some vibrato on top there. So again, to bring us up to where it's measure 4 in your sheet music, just to make sure we're all in the same spot right now. So I bend that up, I put a little vibrato on it, and then I go back to the 14th. You don't really hear the sound of the release. I just mute the string, then release, and then go back to the 14th and bend it up a half step and pull off to the 12th. You could even put a little bend in there, like that. And then on beat 1, it's got to be right in time with the drummer. You're going, it's just an E minor arpeggio, but it's just like a quick, it's a quick punch, and then you slide down. It's just, and it's with the right hand, an upstroke. I'm going, it's my index finger across the 12th fret on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. I'm going upstroke and sliding down the neck, like that. And I guess in time it's 1, 2, 3. I'm off by beat 4 if I'm counting actually in true 12/8. If I'm counting a slow 4, triple at 2, I'm off by beat 2 in a slow 4. So just the turnaround is like, now here's another thing. When Buddy Guy does it, I don't think he bends up and does the vibrato on top. I think he slides in. I think. He may even be in a different part of the neck. He may be like, I can't really remember what part of the neck he's in. I just bent up. I use bending and vibrato often. So that goes back to the previous turnaround we looked at with the Otis Rush vibrato. I love Otis Rush's vibrato so much. So that's it. You finished out the turnaround. One more time. That's like this. Okay? And this is what would be the top of the 12-bar cycle. I'm going to just play some stuff where you're getting ready to do the turnaround yourself. So I played this quintessential Buddy Guy lick where he bends up and just keeps bending up. It's like he's overbending and it's great. And he's in the right hand, he's articulating like a bunch of the ways there. So it starts at the 14th fret and he's just bending up. It's like a series of pre-bends, really, because it's not like this. It's not like, you're not really hearing the bend as much as you're pushing the string up and articulating it. And you can go really wide. Buddy goes really wide when he does that stuff. You want to get in tune, and you want to make sure you don't have your string slide a little bit. I just went flat. But in any event, that relies on having a string gauge that you can do that with. Also, it's going to be more accomplishable on having your index and your middle finger. If I'm bending with my third finger, I'm having the support of the first and second strings behind. And also, a tall fret wire helps in terms of actual guitar maintenance and setup. Some guys, I know, they like a high action. Robert Cray talks about liking a high action to actually get up under the string. And I don't have as high of an action. I love getting up under the string. Certain guitars I do that more with. On others, this guitar is just set a little lighter. But see there, if I actually try to do it, you just saw it happened. I've got to pay attention on this particular guitar because the way this guitar is set up, it's not a natural motion for me to really get under the string like that. I have much more success doing that just focusing on the strength in my left hand. But if you get a higher action and a tall fret wire, that might help. Think about really doing it that way. So however you're going to get there, make sure the bend's in tune and you're articulating in the right hand. And then you just release when you get to the top. It's like a 2.5 step thing, I think. It's like, and you release, and I go to the 12th fret and put some vibrato on it. I'm really stretching that string, and I just changed these strings here. So, anyhow, that's the lick. That's not the turnaround lick. It's just something I play. But if you want to know what I exactly did there, that's it. And it is one of those licks that screams Buddy Guy to me. And then on the back side of this last measure of the first page of sheet music on this particular lick, I just went through. I hit the 4th string accidentally, but it worked, kind of with my palm. And then the main thing is on the 12th fret of the 3rd string, bend it up 2 steps. It's like an Albert King bend. And then back to the 12th fret with vibrato. And then I hang out on the back side of that measure. I go back into the palm muting thing. And this is now on measures 3 and 4 of a 12-bar cycle, or on your sheet music, it's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's actually in measure 7 of your sheet music, which is actually the top of the next page. So I'm just playing all that, kind of going along with the bass. And here are you play the turnaround. So all I'm doing is it's all palm muted, like I just said, and really I'm matching the bass line, more or less. It's most of the time I think in perfect an octave split with the bass. So I'm just going 9th fret, 4th string, 7th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret, and we're on to the 3rd string now, by the way. So 7, 8, 9 on the 3rd string, back to the 7th, 6th, back to the 4th string at the 9th, 7, 8, 9 again. So I'm walking up into the B7, and then I'm walking down 9, 9, 7, 6, and go across to the 9th fret, across a string, 5th string, 9th fret, back to 7th fret, 4th string, 9th fret, and then back to 7th fret, 4th string, 5th fret, 4th fret, 7th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the low E string, 5th fret on the A string again, and then onto the E7, and this is the walk-up. So this is exactly where you would play the turnaround. I'm doing that, and meanwhile you're doing that part. So because I play different stuff the first and the second time on this, doing the thing with the repeat sign and having a first and second ending didn't quite work out in the actual notation, charting, transcription of this. So that's why when you're looking at your sheet music, this looks longer, but it is the same length of music. So yeah, I'm playing there on those last couple bars. It's 7, 7, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9. I'm just walking up to the B7 chord is what's happening. Walking up through the A sharp into the B7. And ending with the 7th fret, so just the B note an octave below, and then to a D note, D natural. You can go to the 5th fret like it's in the tab on the 5th string, but I just went there to the 10th fret on the 6th string, and the 7th fret on the 5th string. So you're just matching the bass. And you may wish to take some of those, palm muted kind of supportive ideas from this too. But the main event is the turnaround, definitely, and that's what I want you to be focusing on. So that's all you. And I'm going to go ahead and play everything somewhat slower. And then we'll go ahead and sync up to the click. And have a go at it. But a little bit slower than the track, maybe like... And you may have heard, I don't know if it came through on the microphone, but I was tapping my foot all the way through that. Even when you're practicing playing things really slowly, I'm always trying to practice slowly while still having it be in time and have a good groove. So it's good to practice slowly with a metronome. It's good to practice slowly also just with a drum machine. But also just by tapping your foot, and especially once you feel that you have internalized the sense of groove, it's yet another way of just keeping a groove going. And hopefully your foot is tapping in time and you're playing in time. I mean, you want to get to that point where you're having really good time, just sitting in a room practicing guitar. And we can all use a little bit of help in the process. I mean, I still work on my time. There's still the fundamental aspects of musicianship that, like the best players I know, they still have to work on, and it's part of maintaining all this stuff. But the point is, groove is a lot. I was going to say groove is everything. A lot of other stuff is important. I don't know that groove is everything, but it's a lot of everything. So make sure you're playing in time, having a good sound. Your hands are, doing what you want them to do, keeping the strength up in your hands, but don't tax your hands. We talk about that in a lesson on string bending. You don't want to wind up hurting your hands just because you're going for a big kind of like Stevie Ray tone, trying to use a huge string. And and just focus on groove. So with that in mind, speaking of groove and syncing up with the metronome, I'm going to sync up now exactly the tempo we recorded this at and play it along with the click track. 1, 2, 3, 4.